Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Morning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Vidyantasto Hivadrani Vidunoti Suvitsatam Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nasta Prayeshu Bhadreshu
Nasta Prayesha Labhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati
Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki.
Bhaktir Bhagavata Naistiki.
By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praise of transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So, by the way, if you don't have a songbook, a temple songbook yet, there is such a thing, and all these little things we say are in there, so you'll catch up. You'll be able to catch up with this. Let's see. Okay, so it's a reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 6, entitled Purusha Shukta Confirmed, and it's the text 84.
2:6:34.
Na Bharati Ne Inda Mrisho Palakshyate
Risho Palakshate.
Na Bharati Menga Mrisho Palakshate
Palakshate.
Na Vai Vachin
Tachin
Me Manaso Mrisha Gati Navai Vachin Me Manaso Mrisha Gati Na Ne Rishikani Patanti Asat Pate Name Rishikani Patanti Asat Pate Yan Me Kridaut Kantya Vata. Let me break it.
2:6.
That doesn't. Yeah, that only breaks up a little bit in the word meanings. There's Frida, and then Kantyavata. It's just a very long word. Drito Hari Yane Ridaut Kantyavata Drito Hari
Yane Ridaut Kantyavata Drito Hari
Nabarati Mengam Risho Palakshate
Nabarati Mengam Palakshate
Navai Kvachin Me Manaso Mrishagati
Navai Kvachin Me Manaso Mrishagati
Name Rishikani Patantya Satpate
Name Harikshani Padanti Astat
Yane Ridaut Kantya Vata Drito Hari
Yane
Kantya Vata Drito Hari.
Would you pronounce that third word?
The big word?
Yeah.
Ridaut Kantya, no, I can't pronounce it. Ridaut Kantya Vata. Ridaut Kantya Vata.
You read it as how it is, it's easier.
Nabarati Mengam Risho Palakshate
Nabarati Mengam Risho Palakshate
Navai Kvachin Me Manaso Mrishagati
Navai Kvachin Me Manaso Mrishagati
Name Rishikani Patantya Satpate
Name Rishikani Patantya Satpate
Yane Ridaut Kantya Vata Drito Hari
Yane Ridaut Kantya Vata Drito Hari.
I think that's three.
Nabarati Me Naga Maso Palakshate
Nabarati Me Maso Palakshate
Navai Kavchin Me Manaso Maraskati Name Rikshani patanti asat pate.
Name Drishtani Patanti Asate.
Yan me udala kanti yavate darot hari. How many syllables in that word?
I can't count that high.
Adati.
On the board, does it say asat in the third line? Near the end, does it say asat? Because I'm hearing ast.
Asat.
Asat,
A-S-A-T.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Asat pati.
Just checking that one. Alrighty, so anybody else?
Orati me nigamasho palakshate.
Nabhati me palakshate.
Naitine manaso manasakati.
Pachin me manaso misagati.
Ane ani patantya patate.
Ameshani Patanti Asate.
Nabharati manga miso palakshati.
Nabharati me
Palakshate.
Nabharachan me manaso misagata.
Navai Pachin me manaso misagati.
Name sikani patanti asatpate.
Ameshani Patanti Asate.
Janmai drakante yavata druto hive.
Yadmeda Kantaya Vatadrito Hari. What else here?
Nabharati Mediga Mirsho Paran Shanti.
Nabharati Miso Palakshate.
Navai Shrachin Me Manasho Rishagati.
Navai Pachin me manaso misagati.
Name Shikani Patanti Ashat Pante.
Name Drishtani Patanti Asate.
Yaman Hrdau Kanti Yavata Hirdo Hari.
Yanme Hridaka Kantaya Vatadrito Hari. Nabharati Myanga Miso Palakshate.
Nabharati me naga.
Navai Pachin me manaso misagati.
Navai kamchin me manaso.
Name Drishtani Patanti Aspate.
Name
Patanti Asate. Yanme Hridauta Kantaya Vatadrito Hari.
Nabharati me naga. Navai kamchin me manaso.
Name sikani patanti asatpate. Name drakante yavata druto hari.
Everybody? Okay, word meanings. Na,
Na,
never.
never.
Bharati,
Bharati,
statements.
statements.
Me,
May,
mind.
mine.
Anga,
Anga,
O Narada.
O Narada.
Risha,
Risha,
untruth.
untruth.
Upalakshate,
Upalakshate,
prove to be.
prove to be.
Na,
Na,
never.
never.
Vai,
Vai,
certainly.
certainly.
Kvachit,
Kavchit,
at any time.
anytime, at any time. May,
Mind.
mind.
Manasaha,
Manasaha,
of the mind.
of the mind.
Mrisha,
Mrisha,
untruth.
untruth.
Gatihi,
Datahi,
progress.
progress.
Na,
Na, nor.
me,
May,
mind.
mind.
Rishikani,
Rishikani,
senses.
senses.
Patanti,
Patanti,
degrades.
this degrades.
Asatpate,
Asatpate,
contemporary matter.
in temporary matter.
Yat,
Yat, because.
May,
May,
mind.
mind.
Rida,
Rida,
heart.
heart.
Autkantya
Vita,
by great earnestness.
by great earnestness.
Dritaha,
Dritaha,
caught hold of.
Hari,
The Supreme Personality of Godhead.
the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
In translation, O Narada, because I have caught hold of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari with great zeal, whatever I say has never proved to have been false, nor is the progress of my mind ever deterred, nor are my senses ever degraded by temporary attachment to matter. Please repeat. O Narada.
O Narada,
Because I have caught hold of the lotus feet
because I have caught hold of the lotus feet
of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari
of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari,
with great zeal,
with great zeal,
whatever I say has never proved to have been false,
whatever I say has never been proved to have been false.
nor is the progress of my mind ever deterred,
Nor is the progress of my mind ever deterred,
nor are my senses ever degraded
nor are my senses ever degraded
by temporary attachment to matter.
by temporary attachment to matter.
Who's speaking?
Who's speaking?
Yes.
Brahma. Yeah. Yeah, Lord Brahma is speaking to Narada, who asked the question, how much I explained. This is still a chapter where Narada is Lord Brahma is the hands-on creator. He's not the creator, but he's the hands-on creator. Like if I paint a picture, I'm the creator of the picture. Not that I'm the source of the paint, and not that I'm the source of the concepts. I'm not the source of anything, but I arrange them. So likewise, Lord Brahma is the creator, that kind of creator of this universe, and everything is given to him by the Supreme Personality of Godhead who likes to share. So he has made everything. Everything comes from God, and He has made it possible to create. He has the blueprints and the materials and all the elements organized and everything. And so Lord Brahma arranged it all. And but Lord Brahma is visible, and one of his first sons, Narada Muni, was thinking, Lord, my father Brahma, he's the source of everything, but how come he's meditating? What's he meditating on? So he wouldn't have to meditate if he was the original source. So he asked his father. So this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam is Lord Brahma explaining to Narada, and it's quoted in another conversation. So we have so Lord Brahma is saying, I'm not the top. I'm not the source of anything. So it all comes from Krishna. So this is the purport. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Lord Brahma is the original speaker of Vedic wisdom to Narada, and Narada is a distributor of transcendental knowledge all over the world through his various disciples like Vyasadeva and others. The followers of Vedic wisdom accept the statements of Brahmaji as gospel truth, and transcendental knowledge is thus being distributed all over the world by the process of disciplic succession from time immemorial since the beginning of creation. Lord Brahma is the perfect, liberated, living being within the material world, and any sincere student of transcendental knowledge must accept the words and statements of Brahmaji as infallible. The Vedic knowledge is infallible because it comes down directly from the Supreme Lord unto the heart of Brahma. And since he is the most perfect living being, Brahmaji is always correct to the letter. And this is because Lord Brahma is a great devotee of the Lord, who has earnestly accepted the lotus feet of the Lord as the supreme truth. In the Brahma Samhita, which is compiled by Brahmaji, he repeats the aphorism, Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I am a worshipper of the original personality of Godhead, Govinda, the primeval Lord. So whatever he says, whatever he thinks, and whatever he does normally in his mood are to be accepted as truth because of his direct and very intimate connection with Govinda, the primeval Lord. Sri Govinda, who pleasingly accepts the loving transcendental service of his devotees, gives all protection to the words and actions of his devotees. The Lord declares in Bhagavad Gita 9:31, Kunteya Prati Janihi, O son of Kunti, please declare it. The Lord asks Arjuna to declare, and why? Because sometimes the declaration of Govinda himself may seem contradictory to mundane creatures. But the mundaner will never find any contradiction in the words of the Lord's devotees. The devotees are especially protected by the Lord so that they may remain infallible. Therefore, the process of devotional service always begins in the service of the devotee who appears in disciplic succession. The devotees are always liberated, but that does not mean that they are impersonal. The Lord is a person eternally, and the devotee of the Lord is also a person eternally. Because the devotee has his sense organs, even at the liberated stage, he's therefore a person always. And because the devotee's service is accepted by the Lord in full reciprocation, the Lord is also a person in his complete spiritual embodiment. The devotee's senses, being engaged in the service of the Lord, never go astray under the attraction of false material enjoyment. The plans of the devotee never go in vain, and all this is due to the faithful attachment of the devotee for the service of the Lord. This is the standard of perfection and liberation. Anyone beginning from Brahmaji down to the human being is at once put on the path of liberation simply by his attachment in great earnestness for the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, the primeval Lord. The Lord affirms this in the Bhagavad Gita 14:26. Manchayo vyabhicharina bhakti yogena sevate sagunan sagunan samati taityan Anyone, therefore, who is earnestly serious in heart and soul about being in intimate touch with the personality of Godhead in the relationship of transcendental loving service will always be infallible in words and action. The reason is that the Supreme Lord is the absolute truth, and anything earnestly dovetailed with the absolute truth attains the same transcendental quality. On the other hand, any amount of mental speculation on the strength of material science and knowledge without any bona fide touch with the absolute truth is sure to be a mundane untruth and failure, simply due to not being in touch with the absolute truth. Such godless, unfaithful words and actions, however materially enriched, are never to be trusted. This is the purport of this important verse. A grain of devotion is more valuable than tons of faithlessness. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and the spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge, and offered my respectful obeisances unto him. So, I'll read the translation again. O Narada, because I have caught hold of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari with great zeal, whatever I say is never proved to have been false, nor is the progress of my mind ever deterred, nor are my senses ever degraded by temporary attachment to matter. So this is, like it says, a really important verse. And there's a lot that can be said about it, and this purport's kind of long. So I'm going to go through it like section by section and talk about it. So the first section, let's see how far this is about Lord Brahma, about Lord Brahma being pure and perfect, and whatever he says is to be accepted as gospel truth. That's because he's not the source of it. He's pure in his surrender to the Lord. The story is before he began creating, he found himself alone in an empty universe. There was nothing but the lotus flower growing from the navel of the Lord, with whom he could not see. That's all he had to sit on. He was just there. He was born there. And so he looked around, he saw nothing at all. What to do? He tried to figure things out. And he was born not like a baby, not like the normal way, but his birth is special. It's straight from the Lord. And so he didn't know what to do. So he tried to follow down the stem of the lotus. That didn't work. So then he heard a voice saying, "Tapa," and that means austerities. So he took a hint, he decided to obey, and he began to perform austerities of meditation, very strict meditations. So did that for a long time. And then he pleased the Lord by doing that, because it was the Lord who had instructed him. So in his meditation, he was allowed to enter the spiritual world, really enter the spiritual world. And he saw the Lord, and he saw the devotees of the Lord and the beauty of the spiritual world. And he went to offer obeisances, and the Lord actually shook hands with him. because Brahma is going to be like a partner in creation. And so he's a special role to play. So the Lord shook hands with him. And he asked some questions too. And the Lord answered him. That's coming up in a later chapter. And so in that way, the Lord gave him really the basis of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam in 4 questions or 4 answers. So, and it's to be expanded upon, has been expanded upon by realized knowledge. But because Lord Brahma is so dedicated to the Lord, he is able to speak truthfully, always. And it does say in his normal mind, where does it say that? Somewhere down here. Whatever he does normally in his mood are to be accepted. There's a couple of incidents where he challenged the Lord because he didn't understand that this little boy Krishna on planet Earth was actually the Lord. So he tested him and stole his friends, kept them a few minutes, which on Earth was, his few minutes was like a year on Earth. And so Krishna filled in, he just expanded himself and became those friends, so the parents never knew a loss. And after a year, the boys were returned, and Lord Brahma understood what he had done. And another time in the early part of creation, there's a story where he actually he was attracted to his daughter. He was just creating the first beings, and one of them was a daughter, and he became sexually attracted. And so the other sons chastised him, kind of respectfully corrected him, and he gave up that body and took up. So this is on a high platform that his body is already very subtle, not like ours. And he gave it up. It doesn't mean he committed suicide. He just gave up that mentality. And so those are 2, that's why it says normally in his mood. Those 2 events when he was not in this mood exactly. And then he corrected himself. So being a soul like us, he could make a mistake. But he won't make a mistake if he surrendered to the Lord. And we can be the same. As long as we are surrendered to the Lord, we won't make mistakes. And if we don't understand something, we don't present ourselves as understanding it. But whatever we understand, if it's according to Scripture, we won't be making mistakes either. So that's the instruction to us. So Lord Brahma has handed this down. We have the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam is about Krishna, spoken about Krishna and about Krishna's devotees. And the Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna. And between the 2, we have complete information, very, very complete information on the science of who we are and who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, what the meaning of everything is. We have a complete science. And if we stick to that, which is presented in hundreds of ways, all the same, and yet all from different angles and everything. So if we become really, really faithful to that, the word earnest is in here again and again. It's a very important point in this purport about earnestness. We have to be very earnest in the way we take shelter of the Lord. Not casual, not business-like, all right, I'll take shelter of you, you take care of me. We have to be earnest. That's a very sincere quality of the soul, to be earnest. You have to be wholehearted. It's a very good word, earnest. Good word to remember and evaluate ourselves by. Are we being earnest? So Lord Brahma is very earnest. He's earnestly taking shelter of the Lord. Now, devotional service. Okay, let me read 1426. This verse was read and then some discussion, but the actual translation was not read. So let me try this again. I'm not looking easily. Okay. Easier to. Sometimes the phone has a mind of its own.
That's the first.
1426. I think it usually is. Oh, you can, you're supposed to just push a button on your phone. It thinks you pushed another button and it goes and turns on the camera. And you try to turn that off and you accidentally delete what you had the page marked in. We have the, it's called Pocket Betas. You know when I get this. My husband knows how to get it. You've got all the books on your phone. So you can look up anything on the spot if you want to. 1426. 6. Yes, it's Mam Shoya Vicharena. Okay. The translation is one who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So what does that mean? Brahma Bhuta, that's a Brahma Bhuta platform, is the spiritual platform, the level of Brahman. Brahman is not Brahma. And Brahma is a title. He's an individual soul, and in different creations, different souls have that title. Brahma is the hands-on creator. Brahman is the impersonal aspect of God. It's his everywhereness. It's everything about him. It includes the personal, but yet sometimes it's discussed separately, and sometimes it includes. So it depends on the context. There are those who worship only Brahman. They don't understand anything personal. And if their worship is sincere and serious, and they're not placing themselves, like there's a false philosophy called Mayavadi philosophy, in which they teach that all individuality is Maya or illusion. Therefore, all is one. Therefore, I'm God. If I just realize who I am, then I know I'm God. And so we still don't accept that. But a sincere worshiper of Brahman understands that there's something higher than himself. And he worships, but he only has knowledge of the impersonal, or maybe he only is comfortable with the impersonal aspect. So he doesn't want to really surrender to the personal, or he doesn't know about the personal. But you can sincerely worship Brahman. And you can also be a Mayavadi, which means you think you are Brahman, and you think you're all one, and you don't have to worship anybody then. But we don't accept that. But we do respect the worship of Brahman and the impersonal, but we say it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult to worship what you can't see or can't even describe or can't even imagine, because Brahman is so impersonal and so everywhere. You can't meditate, you can't really, well, like a Christian, you can see a picture of him. You can see a picture of Brahman. So worship of Brahman is actually very difficult and requires perfection of your meditation. Worship of Krishna just requires sincerity. We may make mistakes. We may be distracted from time to time. We just keep coming back and we're sincere. We still make progress. So Krishna says it's much easier. So anyway, to come to the level of Brahman, what is the level of Brahman? That doesn't mean like the Mayavadi said, that we discover we're Brahman. What it means is we understand that we are also spirit souls in nature. We're not these bodies. We really come to that understanding, and we can experience Brahman, higher than us, Brahman, the impersonal aspect of God, and we can come to that level of understanding the spiritual. We might or might not understand the personal, but it means we come to, it has to be, say this verse right, one who engages in full devotional service. You cannot do devotional service to Brahman, really, because how do you locate him to please him? He is everywhere, but how do you know what's pleasing to him? Only a person can be pleased. So the definition of bhakti yoga is to connect. Yoga means to connect with the Supreme, and by bhakti means devotion. So one definition that Prabhupada gives elsewhere is to use your own senses to please the senses of Krishna. And Krishna has transcendental senses. So we please him. We try to please his senses by what we are taught he wants. For instance, we don't offer meat, we offer vegetarian food and milk. We can cook them really nice, because you can use your senses to know what nice cooking is. But you don't taste it, you just use your knowledge. But your sense of smell may inform you it's turning out right, and so on. And your eyes tell you what you're doing. So we use our senses to please Krishna's senses. We offer it to Krishna without tasting it first. So this is devotional service. So one who engages in full devotional service, that means fully dedicated, not part-time. And it takes a while to learn how to do full devotional service, because even if we have a full schedule of devotional service activities, we might in our heart be coming and going. We might sometimes be actually thinking of Krishna and sometimes actually thinking of ourselves. So it takes a while, but we get to where we are engaging in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, like everything goes wrong and you're still doing it, you're still thinking of Krishna. at once transcends the modes of material nature, which is the forces acting on us to make us get upset with the here and now, or to be, to distract you positively or negatively, and thus comes to the level of Brahman. There's another verse near the end that says one who is at this level starts doing pure devotional service. This is full devotional service, then becomes pure. So it's interesting to analyze this. Pure devotional service means completely on the spiritual level, and you can see Krishna. But you can serve him more directly. Here we serve him by practice. And this full devotional service means our practice kind of devotional service, because by this practice of full devotional service, internally and externally, being unfailing in all circumstances, not just that you always show up on time, but internally also, then you transcend the modes of material nature and come to the level of Brahman, which you come to that spiritual level. And then from that spiritual level, you can practice, you can offer pure devotional service to Krishna. So, how does this connect in? Because Lord Brahma is earnestly engaging in full devotional service. And so he's Brahman. He's Lord Brahma, so he's come to the level of Brahman. And then he's rendering pure devotional service to Krishna. So, Govinda is another name for Krishna. Govinda means one who pleases the senses. He pleases the cows and he pleases the senses. Go means cows too, and go means senses. So, just a coincidence of the words, I think, but one of his names, because we try to please his senses, and then he pleases our senses. If we try to please our own senses, then we will not get anywhere. We'll just have moments of pleasure, and that's it. And then a whole lot of moments of trying to get the next moment of pleasure. So our independent attempt to please our own senses is not very good. But if we try to please Krishna's senses, then he tries to please our senses. Thus he's called Govinda also. And Krishna means all attractive. The root word Krish is like our root word track, which we have tractors, we have attraction, and we have Bible tracts, we have things that try to pull. And so the word Krish is like that. So Krishna attracts everybody, pulls everybody to himself. Now maybe you think, well, not those who don't believe, but then they're attracted to his energy. And if they see him, if he were to show himself, they would have to admit that he is beautiful, like Kaliya, the serpent, who was poisoning the river Jamuna, and the coward boys died until Krishna gave them their life back because they drank the water. Then Krishna went to attack Kaliya. And Kaliya was like an otherworldly being. He wasn't this ordinary earthly snake. And but he had come to the Jamuna River where Krishna and his coward boys were playing because he thought it would be safe there to practice his badness. And so instead, Krishna went and attacked him. But as Krishna was approaching him, even Kaliya, who was demonic, was looking at him and admiring his beauty and appreciating it. And he tried to fight him. And then he had to surrender. So maybe that's why he wasn't killed. Maybe that's why he just had to surrender. Because he was admiring Krishna's beauty. So anyway, he became a devotee of Krishna. But Krishna told him, you can't stay here. I'll protect you wherever you go, but you can't stay here. Because he was poisoning the river. So he had to go. And they say he went to Fiji. And in Fiji, they say there's a serpent in the deep in the cave. Maybe it's Kaliya. So, like some kind of god or something that they know about deep in the cave. God with a spongy. So, okay, anyways. The devotees are especially protected by the Lord so that they remain infallible. So that's, 9:31, let's go to 9. Chapter 9 in the Bhagavad Gita. Again, let's read. What that leads up to that is, it's a whole discussion. Krishna is talking about this relationship of pure devotion with him. So Krishna says, speaking like we expect God to speak, he says, I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I'm equal to all. Isn't that what we'd expect from God? We sort of hope that he'd be equal to everybody. So then he says, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I'm also a friend to him. So he reciprocates. He treats everybody equal as God, but as Krishna, a friend, he is equal. And he responds according to he's equal to everybody. He responds according to that devotion. So then he goes on to explain, he says in the next verse, even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. So that doesn't mean you use that as an excuse. You have to be properly situated in determination. If something went wrong, some past condition got you, and you did something wrong, but you're properly situated in your determination in devotional service, and Krishna helps you. So the next verse it says, this person quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. And Krishna says, because Krishna, he's tricky sometimes. So sometimes people say in his pastime, sometimes he's tricky. So he's saying, maybe people won't believe me, so you say it. My devotees are true. So as a devotee, you declare boldly that my devotee never perishes. Text 33. O son of Prita, those who take shelter of me, though they be of lower birth, women, vaishyas, merchants, and shudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination. That's an interesting verse. Sometimes people don't like that very much. Sometimes women don't like that. Women are of lower birth. Women are, vaishyas and shudras are also lower birth. They're all grouped together. Vaishyas are merchants and shudras are workers, like employees, and that's mostly everybody. So women are equal to everybody in this verse. Not lower than everybody, but equal to almost everybody. Only certain people are qualified to be like a saintly king or a brahmana, a teacher. They're very rare. And those are usually men who have those roles, but a woman may be qualified to be the wife of one of them. But it's very, those kind of people, men and women, are rare. So the common people are vaishyas, merchants, and shudras, workers. Almost everybody is that. Women are equal, not less than all the other people. So this is not a verse about how women are less than men. Not that. So anyways, all except people of lower birth, he's saying people are thinking, only those high, rare people like brahmanas and maybe saintly kings actually can take shelter of Krishna. Krishna says, no, anybody, even lower people, anybody who takes shelter of me can attain the supreme destination. The whole point is to take shelter of Krishna. To like the verse today says, grabbing the lotus feet. We grab the lotus feet of Krishna, that means we're really, really trying to take shelter of him. So then, how much more so is this of the righteous brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings? Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. It's the end of the 9th chapter. He says that and repeated verses here and there in the Bhagavad Gita, that what we do is become Krishna's devotee. And this grabbing hold of the lotus feet with great zeal, this earnestness, is really important. We don't get off with saying, well, I grabbed the lotus feet, so therefore I'm okay. That's wrong attitude. Like, it's not business. It's not like, I paid for this merchandise, therefore it's mine, not illegal. It's not merchandise, it's not a commodity. It's love, and you have to be serious. You have to be sincere in your love, that earnestness. So So the devotees are especially protected by the Lord, so they may remain imperishable. You can be protected by the Lord by staying close to him. To compare, say a woman is, Vedically speaking, a woman is supposed to be submissive to her husband. Okay, women is supposed to be protected because women are not physically as strong, and women are naturally made to seek protection because they got to have the babies, so they got to be taking care of babies, so biologically they need somebody strong protecting. So it's a biological, natural thing. And this submission is not so somebody can exploit and boss around and take advantage of. This submission is actually cooperation with protection. That's really what it's about. So likewise, the devotee has to cooperate with the Lord's protection. So if the devotee cooperates by this earnest hanging on to the lotus feet, which means hanging on to his words, His instructions, everything about Him, everything He's given. Then we're hanging on to His lotus feet in that way. And by doing that, then the Lord protects. We have to be submissive to the Lord. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master and render sincere service to him. And ask, how do you say it? I can't quote even the most common verses, I can't even say it. Basically it means ask him humbly and render service. And he will give you knowledge. So this exchange of knowledge, anything that helps is it has to be a loving exchange. The disciple renders service and listens humbly to the spiritual master, and the spiritual master then gives this knowledge. So when we're preaching to people also, we're supposed to, we try to get some agreement with people so that they're listening, so what we feel they're ready to hear, we try to get it so that they are humbly listening or ready to render a little service or something. Like when we go out and distribute books, we usually try to ask for a donation. If they're willing to give a donation, that's a little bit of service. So it's a little openness. It's not like in business, but it's a necessary way for this knowledge to be transmitted. A person has to be receptive by some kind of service. That means they're receptive. It's not a dollars and cents exchange like that. But there has to be open-heartedness like that. So anyway, the devotees who stick close to the instructions. There's so many instructions in the books, so many instructions from the spiritual master, from Prabhupada. Even our current gurus, we are not instructed to blindly follow. We're instructed to take what they say along with Prabhupada's instructions and along with the scriptures. And we're supposed to compare and make sure they're in agreement. Because if anything is not in agreement, we have to be careful. They're all supposed to be in agreement. The scriptures, the great devotees, and the spiritual master, the guru, they're all supposed to be in agreement. If they're not, pay attention, because somebody might be off. Or maybe you just don't understand what somebody's saying, but still, you have to pay attention now and find out. Maybe you would have to go and speak privately to another devotee and say, well, I see this looks like a discrepancy. What does this mean? And might be a discrepancy or it might not be, but somebody, they can help you. So, but that's like one of the groups, Guru Sadhu Shastra. Sadhu is the other devotees, the great devotees. It could be your local devotee too, who is helping you. Anything else I want to say? So there's a point in the purport about how the devotee service is accepted by the Lord in full reciprocation. The Lord is also a purpose because the devotee has his sense organs even at the liberated stage. He's there for a person always. So a devotee may be liberated in this world, and of course he's still got his body, he's still a person. But what about the next life? In the next life we have a body also, but it's a spiritual body, and it has senses too. It has spiritual senses. So you're always a person, always an individual person, and it's always a personal exchange. Always trying to please Krishna's senses, and Krishna's always trying to please the devotee back. And so, there's that kind of loving exchange. Any other points? And that the Supreme Lord is absolute truth. It's very interesting because opposite to what we may think in our mundane logic, the absolute truth should be a concept. Because that's how we think, but actually the absolute truth is a person. Because there's nothing higher than Krishna, nothing and nobody higher than Krishna. So the absolute truth, all the concepts have to take you to Krishna. So Krishna is the absolute truth. And whatever Krishna does is absolutely perfect. But he may not please everybody because he may have a different purpose in mind. Like in the Battle of Kurukshetra, he wanted that war to happen. And may think that's bad. Why should that's God, bad God? Why do we want a war? But he's perfect. He had a perfect reason. He's in perfect control. He knows everything that's going on. Even this age of Kali Yuga, he knows everything. It's a time for bad karma to happen, and it's also a perfect opportunity for the Hare Krishna movement, so that even people full of bad karma can simply chant the Hare Krishna mantra and take some prasadam and read these books and become pure. So in other ages it was harder. In the first age, the most pure age was the hardest. You had to meditate for like 10,000 years. It's like, you live for 100,000 years, but you have to meditate for 10,000 years. That's really hard. You can't imagine such a thing. So it's easier. So this is the one reason for this fallen age, is that then things are easier for people. So Krishna has a complete, perfect plan for everything, and he himself is the absolute truth. Anything he does is true and right, because there is no. So simply due to not be in touch with the absolute truth. Let's see. On the other hand, any amount of mental speculation on the strength of material science and knowledge, without any bona fide touch with the absolute truth, that is the person, Krishna, is sure to be a mundane untruth and failure, simply due to not being in touch with the absolute truth. And when Brahma actually asked Krishna those 4 questions, so Krishna answered them. The second one said that anything that appears to be not in relation to me is not true. So everything is in relation to Krishna if we perceive it, otherwise it's false perception. So that's why just by not including Krishna, it's not true, because Krishna is the absolute truth. No matter how logical and how true to visible evidence it might seem. So a grain of devotion is more valuable than tons of faithlessness. So we can have all kinds of opinions and all kinds of head knowledge, but if we don't have any devotion, we're nowhere. We're very deluded. So, I'll stop here. Yes.
So application is everything. The verse you're looking for was 434. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master and inquiring from him.
434, yes.
And
inquiring from him submissively. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In rendering service unto him, the self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth.
Thanks. Actually, next one is
Thank you for a very nice response. I just like your classes.
Thank you.
So in this verse, Lord Brahma is saying that he senses doesn't make any mistakes because he's always being on to the lotus feet of the Lord. So taking this verse as absolute, so it has to be taken as absolute. This is from Srimad.
It has to what?
It has to be taken as absolute. The words are perfect. So Lord Brahma does not make mistakes. So when you talk about those 2 different incidences that he quoted, so we should really see from the light of this verse that Brahma did not actually make a mistake, but he was kind of put into that situation by Lord Krishna's wish or will. And that's why he made that mistake, apparently. But it is by Lord Krishna's desire that he made those mistakes.
The one where it took the coward voice could be said like that. But the other one, I don't know, but Prabhupada kind of explained, Prabhupada in the purport, who also can't say anything wrong, because he's a pure devotee. He said Brahma, when in his normal mood of whatever Lord Brahma does normally in his mood are to be accepted as true. So he may have had an abnormal moment when he was not hanging on to the lotus feet of the Lord. So it appears that Prabhupada allowed for that little discrepancy, the fact that it happened. And then Brahma corrected himself. But whatever Brahma says, when he gives his instruction, he is doing so by hanging on to Krishna's lotus feet. So he won't say anything, he won't give any wrong instruction. So,
I was next.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that it's how thankful we should be to Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna also, because like you are quoting this verse that Vaishya, Shudras and so on, they can achieve perfection. And before, in the Brahmanical culture, not only women Vaishya Shudras could not study scriptures, but Western people, they could not. Like nobody here would be ever have access to this knowledge. And then, so Lord Chaitanya, he actually said that, he again said that not only Brahmanas who are born in Brahmanical families are Brahmanas, actually. Not if you are born in Brahmanical family, then you may not be a Brahmana. So, and then Srila Prabhupada actually implemented everything what his spiritual master wanted to do. So he gave this knowledge to everybody. And then when this next verse, which is saying that saintly kings, devotees, and Brahmanas, so devotees are higher than any human general. They are just higher. So you can be Vaishya and a devotee. You can be a woman and a devotee. So it's kind of like mercy of Krishna that he says that, okay, you may be Vaishya or woman or anything, but if you're a devotee, that's your perfection in life.
Yeah, you could be a Brahmana and not be a devotee.
Yeah.
You could be very, very scholarly in the scriptures and very perfect in your behavior and all this kind of stuff, and doing rituals or something, but you may not be a devotee of Krishna. That's possible. Yeah, and saintly kings also.
That's called a
Kings are
vipra.
supposed to be taught by the Brahmanas.
That's a vipra, right? They're sort of expert and super
not,
clean.
well, expert material thing. I don't know, the word just floats around a little bit. So.
Dvijabanhu, right?
Huh?
Dvijabanhu, like friend of the Brahmana.
Well, if they don't have the Brahmana qualities, then the word vipra gets used. It's a somewhat elastic word as far as I can tell. So we can't like carve everything up by using that word. But yeah, and then the reason Krishna says even women, Vaishyas and Shudras, by surrendering to me, they can attain the supreme destination, because you're right, in the previous ages, they would not be allowed to study. Only the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas, the kings, were allowed to be studying this knowledge. And everybody else would just have to obey the rules and stuff, but do the sacrifices, but they didn't get to study. So they could still go to the supreme destination just by being devoted to Krishna. So that was why that's there also. You're right, that's good to bring up. In ancient times that distinction was made.
And also Krishna, as my understanding is, when Krishna gives Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna, he says that, okay, first he gives to Arjuna different kinds of yogas, right? And in some yogas it may, really you can apply this rule. Like for example, as I remember, like Hatha yoga or something like that, meditation women are not allowed to practice. And Prabhupada once he said, he made some meditation in Vrindavan, but not like normal, but the disciples, they pursued him to do it, and he allowed wives of men to come there. But actually he says that all the process is not good, because it's not what we are aiming for.
Prabhupada allowed the wives of men to come.
There's one thing, I think it was in Vrindavan or something. They built a temple which was supposed to be for people.
Not Prabhupada's temple. What you're talking about?
No, it was for Prabhupada's
temple.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
I'm not sure. There's some temple there which maybe Krishna Balaram Mandir. It was about so when you become Vanaprastha, you wanted these temples to be for Vanaprasthas. And so I don't remember which devotees, but they made some kind of yoga thing, not like meditation. And Prabhupada said, okay, he was not happy with it, but then he said, okay, men can come, and then their wives can come. But afterwards, it was just dismissed.
Oh yeah, it's a little bit difficult to run a really open movement in India, because sometimes, the modern form in India of the culture tends to itself that it's of the previous standard, and it's not. It's all fallen. But they make these distinctions. You're a woman, you're a lower class caste, you're the caste. They make these artificial distinctions as if society was pure, like in the ancient days when these distinctions were real and natural. And it was according to your qualities, not according to your birth. And now they make it according to your birth, and it's it's not necessarily true of anybody. Anyways, that's the modern culture without actual Krishna consciousness in it is the caste system, which isn't healthy anymore. And everybody knows the caste system is supposed to be bad and all that. So, somebody else had a hand up before. You had your hand up.
No, I was letting you know they had their hands up.
Oh, okay. So I guess you're next here.
I think it was a good point you made about pleasing Krishna's senses with our senses. And it was a good interpretation that we also have to be careful not to think that we can please Krishna through our senses. Like, I'm going to enjoy this ice cream, and Krishna's enjoying it too. That's almost a different spiritual path where we, thank God for.
Well, that's right. When we cook for Krishna, we have to be real careful in our mentality. We can't think, I'm going to cook for this because I'm going to enjoy this food. We have to think. We might be thinking practical matters, so we always have to eat it and everything. But we want it to be healthy and everything. But we're really trying to make it nice for Krishna first.
But it is a correct interpretation that I like butter pecan ice cream.
So maybe Krishna does too?
No, Krishna does like butter pecan ice cream. But I'm not going to get the butter pecan off the shelf or make it because I want some.
Right, you do.
I'm going to, yeah,
so
it's a different, yeah.
If you cook for Krishna, somebody told me, yeah, if you know what tastes good, then you cook what you like, but do it for Krishna. It's not that we pretend we don't have any
Right.
preferences, because our tastes give us an idea what's good.
Right. And we have to run that through the filter of the 4 eggs too.
Well, yeah. of
Like
course.
I want a hot dog, so Krishna
Right,
likes
of course, you don't cook meat, even if you think meat tastes good, you don't cook it for Krishna.
Right.
And so you only eat what you offer to Krishna, so therefore no more meat.
So thank you for making that good point of using Krishna's sense, our senses.
It made me think of something when you said to a person to be a Brahmin, but not be,
Not
have
be a
love for
Buddha.
Krishna.
Yeah.
My Gurudev once was in a college and went every day to the Shri books and took, and he would get in a discussion, argument with a theologian instructor there who would just, the Bible, he knew it inside and out, and he would just argue with Gurudev every day. And eventually one day they was off away from all the students by themselves, and he was telling Maharaj, because Maharaj was asking, all of these things I have told you, and still you want to debate, and I've proven so many things, and he says, to be honest with you, I don't even believe in God. So he's there with all the knowledge, and he's debating it. He doesn't even believe in God.
Wow.
Just
Just
debating.
maintaining his position as a theologian, so he can keep getting his salary. And
Exactly.
can
Wow.
keep on being a good
Business.
teacher.
Business of, yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? Do you have any questions? No questions?
I will.
Oh, okay.
When you're talking about Kaliya, what came to my mind was how when Krishna was dancing on Kaliya and
Did that
everything,
help?
to prevent Kaliya being afraid of Garuda, that Garuda would see Krishna as my holy
Oh, right.
footprints on there. So that's interesting. And also
That's true.
how Krishna was seeing that he also had to maintain all these different wives and children. Maybe it's speculation too, why Krishna didn't outlawly try to.
Well, other demons have wives and children, and Krishna did not spare the demon just because they had wives and children. But Kaliya, apparently he had something good in there, because he did admire Krishna's beauty. In spite of himself, he did admire Krishna's beauty. So that was a moment of devotional service. In spite of the fact that he was demonic-minded and poisonous and didn't mind that his poison killed the coward boys and everything, he was going to kill Krishna because Krishna was challenging him, he had that moment of devotional service where he admired Krishna's beauty.
He also offers prayers too.
Also what?
There was prayers that he would offer. He was offering to Krishna.
What is that?
On the Nagapatis would do.
Yeah.
Well, I thought.
No, the Nagapatis, yeah, his wives offered prayers and he offered prayers, but that was after he was not killed by Krishna. I mean, first off, Krishna didn't kill him.
Yeah, he was over
So
there.
then these prayers came, and so then Krishna said, okay, I accept you, I mark your head with my lotus feet, so Garuda won't try to eat you anymore, so you can go anywhere. And, but you have to go away from here.
Because he was touched by Krishna.
Yeah, but he was still poisonous in that body, so he had to go away to Fiji, perhaps.
Being touched by Krishna.
So do the acharyas say that is because he admired Krishna, or like where?
Well, in the Krishna book, when you read that, it said he had that moment, he admired Krishna, and for some reason, Krishna usually kills the devotees, and somehow he did not kill Kaliya, but protected him. And the prayers came after Kaliya was not dead, he was just beat down. So you can figure that is devotional service, and he did admire Krishna, so that is a moment of devotional service. If we just stop and hear of it with some moment of respect, if we admire something for a minute, Krishna never forgets that. So we know the philosophy, we can apply it. That's what Kaliya did, has had a moment of devotional service. So, I mean, how can you look at it any other way? You don't really have to have the acharyas say that. It would be nice if they said it, and I could say it, they said it, but still I see that.
I'm not challenging.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering where that came
No,
from.
I
because
know.
never considered that, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah, I painted a picture of Krishna swimming in the dive dove in the water. And the water is like just a little boy dove in the lake, but this is so powerful. The whole lake was sloshing, all of the waves, all over the banks, everything. And he's swimming, and Kali is down in the water looking up at him. That's the moment when Kali saw him and admired his beauty. So I painted that picture. So I kind of noticed that thing and focused on it. Anything else? Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All the way to Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada.